what if actually studying manifestation is actually leading to a greater difficulty in the materialization of your desired reality? You see, oftentimes what you don't realize is that learning actually does something quite dangerous to you. And the truth of the matter is, in the entirety of life, there's actually more to unlearn than there is to learn. So in this video, we're going to be unlearning all the things in the realm of manifestation that are leading to the perpetuation of you struggling to materialize whatever it is you want: more clients in your business, more sales in your business, a healthy relationship, a job promotion. Because isn't it a bit ironic that there are individuals who will never, and I honestly mean never, them niggas will never ever pick up a manifestation book in their life, yet they're able to materialize what it is that they want. And the truth of the matter is, the field of manifestation actually does something quite detrimental to the mind. And until I can point out all of these things to you, which bear in mind, these are things that you're unconsciously adhering to, you will continue to suffer. So let's unlearn. Drawing, right? Manifestation books, burning them. He's throwing one into there. You can't say this drawing isn't. This drawing is good, innit?
Good drawing.
Right? It's good, innit?
Good drawing. You know, we used to get comments about people telling how they manifested stuff. Now we're getting comments like, I had a cray-cray dream about you two last night.
You two is in...
Yeah, both of us. I'm assuming.
Nice to know you're involved.
I don't even know what I'm involved in.
Usually it's just me, innit? So I'm glad to hear that.
It felt like it was very important. The way you spoke to me about wisdom and secret things of the universe, even things you have not mentioned on this channel. It was so weird.
See, this isn't going to help the conspiracy that I'm not a human being.
You know.
That's not going to help at all in the slightest.
She also said, I'm sorry. I had to say something. Lol.
Why are you apologizing? Like you had to get off your chest.
Because anyway, I don't usually interact. I'm one of those people that watch and lurk, but I love your page and your purpose. Thank you for sharing your gift.
Thank you very much. It's honestly a pleasure. Thank you. First things first, we'll start with the foundations. The wood must always be laid. Pause. And in the realm of manifestation, I have a particular definition on manifestation, which is, this definition is literally why I'm hired by 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, professional athletes, Hollywood actors. They literally hire me for this. So please, honestly, this definition alone can save you years, even weeks, months' time in struggling to materialize your desired reality. And I say that as somebody who was struggling for years, reading a whole bunch of books, doing a whole bunch of meditations, whole bunch of visualizations, a whole bunch of affirmations and scripting, and none of that shit was working. And the issue is, if you have an incorrect definition of manifestation, then no matter how good everything else you do is, unfortunately, you will not manifest. Now, my definition of manifestation, make sure you take notes and leave them in the comments. Bear in mind, I'm only pointing out this definition so we can set that foundation. Then I'll get into all the things that are actually leading to you struggling to materialize your desired reality. You can't manifest, and here's why. But before that, like I said, and for those that are familiar to this channel, and they often hear me say this, and they're like, yeah, you already know it. If you already know it, then why isn't shit changing? You see what I'm saying? Manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you are no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change. Internally shifting. Most people's definition of manifestation is about altering their reality, bending reality, shaping the universe, but indirectly, by focusing on the external, you're indirectly set up to focus on an illusion. And the unfortunate thing about illusions is that they will lead you to the deepest degrees of delusion. If you're focusing on the external reality based upon the idea that my reality isn't changing, things aren't changing, that means you're still externally focused on what's going on outside of you. And if you're focused on what's going on outside of you, then you're going to miss what's going on inside of you that is actually leading to the very same cycles of the things that's going outside of you. And that's a bar, write that down. It's about internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. And I say that for the mere fact that emotion is energy in motion. That energy in motion emits a signature. We call that signature a vibration. When vibration picks up momentum, it becomes a frequency. Frequency is interchangeable with self-concept, state of consciousness, mental attitude, imagination is fine. And then frequency or state of consciousness, self-concept, mental attitude leads to reality. So your emotional dependence upon reality is actually an indication that you're lacking what it is that you want. Bear in mind, you can only have what you already have. And if you don't already have what it is that you desire within, then you can never possess it without. When I say possess it within, I mean by the universal definition and not our humanistic definition. Our humanistic definition of having is physical possession. I have a pen in my hand right now. I'm holding this. That's the human definition. But remember, the human definition comes from the realm of illusion, which is our third dimensional realm. And if we're defining things in accordance to the third dimensional realm, then we're always going to be limited because the third dimensional realm is the realm of limitation in of itself. So the true definition of having is vibrational possession, which is a combination of mental and emotional energy. You need to possess the mental and emotional equivalent of whatever it is that you desire before reality proves it to you, because reality will never prove anything to you until you prove it to yourself. And that's what bar, write that down. Most of the time, the reason why we have emotional dependency is because you think the acquisition of that person, that job, that promotion, that amount of money in your business, we end up falling for the delusion that that is going to do something for us. That's the only reason you want it. It's not for the thing in of itself. It's the emotion that that particular thing represents, because we want nothing in reality other than frequency. And that's what bar, write that down. You don't want 100K per month. You want the frequency, the feeling, because if that particular thing didn't come with a feeling, you wouldn't want it. You don't want a burger. You want the satisfaction of your hunger being appeased. You don't want a drink. You want your thirst. You don't want a drink for the sake of the drink. You don't want a person for the sake of the person. It's not about the desire in of itself. And because most people focus on the desire, they never have the capability of producing the emotion that would indicate to the universe that that desire is something that they have. Because remember, emotion is energy, emotion, vibration, frequency, reality. Unseen reality change. So now let's actually get into the reasons as to, or the things that you need to unlearn. And bear in mind, these are things that even though I'm about to point them out to you, they're going to be things that you end up catching yourself out, because this is some shit that I go through too. And hey, I'm the nigga that's hired by professional athletes and Hollywood actors and 79-figure entrepreneurs. So if I'm still going through this shit, then we're all gonna go through this shit. You feel me? Don't look at me as if I'm some, perfect being just because I can talk well off the top of my head for an hour at a time. I still go through shit just like everybody else.
I've got to thank you, Nero. My whole life I've had people telling me that my dreams were impossible because of my background, and I believed them until I found your videos. Now, 2 years later, not only has my mental health improved drastically, I've been awarded the most prestigious prize for my new talent in my industry. I'm moving to my dream city.
That's fucking hard.
And already had people reach out wanting to be mentored by me. I'm so incredibly grateful. And for the first time in my life, I'm excited for my future because I know whatever happens, I'm going to be fine. So thank you, and thanks AJ for your wonderful piano skills.
Real. He's literally hitting them keys right now.
He's locked in still.
I mean, shit. That's the thing though. In what he said, someone saying it's impossible for his background. Like, I only recently learned the statistics on individuals that are raised by their moms. Like, were like 70% more likely to end up in jail, be on drugs. Factor that in growing up in the fucking ends. That makes it much worse. So naturally, we've defied the odds. That's what we do on this channel, including you that's watching this video. It's likely you're somebody who's defied the odds. We've done it from the start, so we might as well finish it like that. I gotta put this one part down. I'm in the studio. I want to see if anybody knows the intro to the song that I'm singing right now. I'm at the studio, man. Man, quit playing with me, man. Nah, for real, don't play like that. Are you serious? How you know? Put that on everything. Man, I'm gonna call you back. Every time I was in LA, I was with my ex-girlfriend. Every time you called, I told you, baby, I'm working it now. Do you know the song by now?
We played it before this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it because I want them to comment.
I know I hurt you. I know you hate me, but there's more. Listen.
Don't know. The beat gives it away, bro. Everyone knows this.
These are my
Banger.
confessions.
Banger.
First things first, please remember this, because we all forget this. She gonna say she got one on the way. Man, I'm throwing it. I don't know what to do. I guess I gotta keep on telling her. If I'm gonna tell her, then I gotta tell it all. Damn near cried when I got that phone. I don't even blame him. First things first. I'm the realist. Sorry, that was Iggy Azalea. Sorry. All serious now. Techniques do not create reality. And this is something that we have to remember, because oftentimes, naturally being beings that live in the third dimensional realm, we end up falling for an illusion. This entire game of manifestation is just about your ability to remember who the fuck you are quite frequently. Because the more time that we spend in reality, just like, you watched that film, Percy Jackson? And the Lightning Thief, ridiculous.
No.
Percy Jackson, okay, those who know. Essentially, they're looking for somebody, they get to this casino, and in the casino there's these cakes, and they give them these cakes, and these cakes make them, forget that, they have something to look for, that there's time, and they end up falling for the illusion of the entire place. Do they keep eating these cakes and they forget that we've actually got some shit to do because the cakes feel so good, and they kind of like drug you up a bit. That's the nature of reality. We end up spending our lives, even though we acquire this information, how often do you actually remember that this is something that you know? Because even I forget sometimes. And this is part of it. Techniques do not create reality. In the realm of manifestation, there's this idea that in order for you to create your desired reality, you have to find the perfect technique. You have to know the correct technique. And this is the funniest thing, because the truth of the matter is, techniques do not create reality. Techniques do not create reality. Remember, the only thing that creates reality is you. That is the only thing that creates reality. You can never do another fucking technique in your life, and you're still going to create reality. There's individuals that will never sit down and consciously visualize or consciously affirm or consciously script, and they're still able to materialize what it is that they want. Because what ultimately produces reality is your state of being, your frequency, your self-concept, and your state of consciousness, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the technique at all. So what often happens to us is that we think to ourselves, I need to visualize every day. I need to make sure I do my affirmations. You probably got in your calendar. Okay, I'm gonna do my visualization 7 a.m. or I'm gonna do my affirmations before I go to bed. And you make it routine, and you end up making the mistake of attributing the causation of your reality into a technique other than you. You end up externalizing your ability to shift your reality into a particular technique, and then you become so hyperfixated on that technique that when you don't do that technique and you miss a visualization or you didn't affirm the day before, you end up feeling guilty. And because you end up feeling guilty, that particular degree of guilt is a corrosive emotion that emits a particular frequency that ends up corrupting the frequency or distorts the frequency of your desired reality. Guilt is corrosive. It literally eats you from the inside out. Pause. And the thing about guilt is that guilt can only be alleviated by self-condemnation. When you feel guilty for some shit that you've done, you feel like, I need to be punished. Pause. And that particular degree of self-punishment then ends up leading to the universe punishing you through adverse conditions, adverse circumstances, adverse events. And you feel like the world is against you, and it's because you want the world to be against you because you feel guilty, or because you missed a visualization, or because you visualized a technique. And here's the thing. Like I said, techniques have one purpose, and one purpose only. The only purpose of a technique is to shift you internally. Why? The purpose of the technique is to shift you internally, because upon shifting internally, then you naturally shift externally. Techniques are like cars. It doesn't matter if you have a G-Wagon, it doesn't matter if you have a Prius, it doesn't matter if you have a Yaris, it doesn't even matter if you have a bike. It really doesn't matter. The vehicle is irrelevant. The only thing that is relevant is the vehicle's ability to have fuel. Now, of course, if that's a bike, it's a bit different, but you get the general gist of what I'm saying here. The techniques do not create reality. The techniques are nothing more than vehicles that are meant to drive you towards your desired reality by being nothing more than fuel in your tank. Because it's not about the technique. It's actually about the emotion that's produced by the technique. Because the emotion that's produced by the technique is ultimately what ends up programming your subconscious mind. Because the one true language of the subconscious mind is emotion. People often say it's repetition. That's not true. And that'll be another point that I speak on further. But for simplicity's sake here, just understand that techniques do not create reality. And the mistake that people often make is that they become so hyper fixated on the idea that I need to do my visualization, I need to do my affirmations, I need to do my scripting, I need to do this, I need to do this, that they miss a day and you feel terrible. The techniques don't create reality, you create reality. And it's actually the hyperfixation on techniques that gets you to move attention away from yourself, so then you don't even realize what's going on upon you missing a technique. How many times have you felt like, damn, I didn't do a visualization today? Damn, I didn't meditate today, fuck. And then you end up making it more of a problem, because the problem is really the problem. The problem is nearly always the perception towards the problem. So it's not necessarily that you missed the day, it's that you missed the day, and what does that represent? Fuck, now I can already feel myself. I'm a bit more restless right now. It's difficult for me to control my mind now. I'm not in a good state. And it's not necessarily because you missed the technique. It's because of the subconscious power that you've given to this technique. The technique has nothing more to do than shift you internally. But you think a technique creates reality. So you think anytime that you're not doing a technique, you're not creating reality, which, based on this truth that there are no truths in the reality you experience other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true, you then end up making it a truth, quite literally. I repeat, you think techniques create reality. So anytime you don't do a technique, you feel like your energy is being wasted. You feel like your desired reality isn't being materialized. And based upon that subconscious acceptance, your subconscious makes it true, because you make the laws of your reality. And if you make the laws of your reality, then anytime that you're not adhering to an unnecessary law, you will be punished for it. It's no different from the individuals who believe that hard work is what gets you success. And bear in mind, I'm not of the spiritual individuals that believe that you don't need to work out. We exist on 3 planes of existence: mental, physical, spiritual. But it's about working multidimensionally, not working hard, not working smart, but working multidimensionally, which is arranging yourself correctly on the highest planes of existence to allow things to unfold for you. So once again, techniques do not create reality. You create reality. And that's something you have to unlearn. Now, if I would prescribe something to you, yes, if I'm prescribing something to you, have a week of no techniques. Have a week of no techniques, and feel your mind be like, no, this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right. Because you have a dependency upon techniques. And the dependency upon techniques is based upon these mistaken association that techniques create reality as opposed to you. You need to be able to fight that part of your mind that's attempting to convince you that if you don't do a technique, then your reality is fucked up. Because then, indirectly, of course, anytime you don't do a technique, your reality will be fucked up. Not because of the technique, but because of the subconscious acceptance that a technique is the only thing that leads to the creation of reality. This is no different from individuals who think hard work creates success. And anytime they adhere to it, then success comes. But only after they've had to burn themselves out. But there's individuals that don't have to work as hard. There's individuals that will never do a technique in their life. And this isn't me saying don't do techniques. This is me saying realize who's in charge here. Not the technique, you. Techniques have one purpose, and that's to shift you internally. Now I'll be building upon that point in about 2 more points. But yes, on to the next.
You're spitting still.
Thank you.
Little brother Nero. These videos be 50 minutes of pure gold information and 45 minutes of you wiping that damn board.
That's very real. That's very, very real. I mean, that's life though. That, I think it's called the 80-20 rule. It's also known as the Pareto principle. The idea that, it's going to be something small in something larger that actually leads to an effect. So that makes sense. Like, I remember there's, certain occult and esoteric teachers that I'd watch, and they will live stream for 9 hours. And in that live stream of 9 hours, there'll be 20 minutes of pure bars.
I remember you telling me.
Niggas complain that my
And you
videos
watched the
are
full
hour
thing.
long, and then, man, you don't know what it's like watching a 9-hour lecture over 3 days. Same people that will go home and go watch something stupid. Same brothers that will go and watch baddies come to my thing and complain. And truthfully, I actually don't intend for these videos to be long. I actually just don't realize that time ends up going like that. Like, AJ, I'll be like to AJ, how long was that? He'll be like, oh, 20 minutes. I'll be like, what? And he'll be like, no, it was an hour and 15. Like, oh. Oh. I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this.
So I had to
rhyme like that, to shine like this. In the matter of time I spent with locked up shit in the back of the penny wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it with a clear eye view. Like, sure, she trying to bless me like I said I chew. Like a nigga sneeze. Nigga, please. For them trigger squeeze, I'm getting green. Never let them hoes get in between of where we started. Little nigga, but I'm lion-hearted. Nah, they could never make me hate him.
Nah, the intro on that tune is absolutely ridiculous. The whole tune is
honestly
ridiculous.
There's no song that's more dangerous at a club. Actually, that and Chief Keef, Finito, that's also dangerous. But I've literally seen girls that were just sat there with their 1942 in the club, hear that song, and then come like this, rapping bar for bar. I'm like, whoa. Nah, Meek Mill before the Great Shift was legendary.
Then again, though.
Then again, what? I feel like you're about to say something outrageous. You're about to say something outrageous, isn't it?
Drake makes us feel like that every day.
Okay. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Oh, shit.
How did he manage to bring Drake involved? How?
This is how I feel when you talk about Kendrick. I'll be talking about something completely random to this guy who'll be like, oh my God, Kendrick did this in 1942. I'm like, what? Yeah, before he was born, he did this and then that. And I'm like, come on.
It's either Kendrick or Jay-Z that I talk about like that. I'll go orange. Or, you know what it is.
Get this thing out.
So, the second thing that you need to unlearn, let's go.
Storm Claudia is going crazy.
Yeah, there's currently a storm in the UK. Which to me, this just looks like a normal day because honestly, it's just raining.
Apparently, Storm Claudia is meant to just be like straight rain for 24 hours or some shit.
Is it?
Yeah, and heavy winds in some areas.
Nah, the wind is what does too much. The wind does way too much. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. So, what often happens in the realm of manifestation simultaneously that people need to unlearn is that people actually don't go into enough depth. I think one time someone on the channel said, watching other content creators in the realm of manifestation is like being in nursery or kindergarten, and again, to Nero's like PhD level. And I do honestly keep things simplistic, but one of the issues that me in particular, I ran through in manifestation, you make a face.
You ran through.
Okay. One of the issues that I encountered in the realm of manifestation was the idea that the information is just not enough. And when I say not enough, people have 3 or 4 lines that they will constantly repeat. Think from the end, feel from the end, visualize. And that will be it. That will literally be it. Persist. Like that will literally be it. And that may work for some people, but for me, I think based upon the way that my mind is, that was never enough, which is obviously what led me to end up reading hundreds of books and also writing my own. Outsmarting Reality, Amazon bestseller for 23 weeks straight in all 3 categories. And obviously, I realized a couple of things. When oftentimes I would try to discover what something means, such as what is a self-concept, and people often say the way that, you look at yourself, fine. What's it made out of? What's your consciousness comprised out of? What's your frequency made out of? And the issue is everybody was just using buzzwords and regurgitated information without actually being able to identify the components. So remember, frequency, state of consciousness, self-concept, mental attitude, frequency, these are all the same thing. It's all interchangeable. These are the things that the components are made up out of. And one thing that often, especially when clients hire me, they come to me and they're like, hey, I've been trying to manifest this one thing and I've been doing the visualizations, I've been doing the thinking from the end, I've been feeling from, but there's just still something. Oftentimes it's a subconscious block, but what often it is rarely, and this is something you need to make sure that you don't have, is a distortion in your frequency. I need you to understand something. The clearer your frequency is, the more likely it will materialize, because the universe will be able to pick up that signal and know exactly what it is. The more solidified your self-concept is, the more the universe will be able to recognize it. The more solidified your consciousness is, the more likely you'll end up materializing, being that consciousness and matter are, the equivalent of steam and ice, right? Imagination, self-concept, state of consciousness, frequency, that's like steam. You can't really grab it. But ice, matter, so it's a bit more tangible. Typically what happens is there's a distortion somewhere here. One of these. So you can have an idea of what it is that you want to materialize, but what often happens is people have one of these particular attributes in direct contradiction to the frequency of their desired reality. I'll try to give as many examples of the typical kind of industries that, we talk about on this channel. So we'll talk about jobs, we'll talk about promotions in jobs, we'll talk about relationships, and we'll talk about money, and we'll talk about business.
Relationships / getting hoes.
Yeah. Getting hoes,
Since that's
getting tricks, which is typically what people do on this channel.
You can see in the comments.
I'm yet to have somebody. Actually, no, there was someone. I think her name was Cheyenne. Actually, I think there was somebody who commented that they ended up finding somebody that they're in love with. So
okay,
that's lovely.
It's nice. That's nice. More of that, please.
More of that. Now, typically, like we said, what happens is there's a contradiction somewhere in one of these. So let's go with the first example. Let's say somebody, you want to get employed. Let's say you're trying to manifest a job. What typically happens is you can do the visualizations for the job, you can do the thinking from the end. But what's happening on a deeper level is that somewhere along the line here, there's a contradiction. So let's say you want to materialize a particular job. You don't have a job, you want to materialize a job. You're doing everything you need to be doing. But one of the beliefs that you have, is that there are no jobs in the economy. I can assure you, you can do as much visualization as you want, you can do as much scripting as you want. If you have the underlying belief that there's no jobs in the economy, whole time you're trying to manifest a job, clearly we can see how they're in direct contradiction. Across all of these attributes, there has to be congruency. You understand what I'm saying? Next, we can say perception. Now, these are all somewhat interconnected. Perception is the way that you look at life. The way that you look at life is the way life looks at you. Let's say you look at life through the lens of getting a job is hard. Why? Because you have the preconceived belief that there's no jobs in this economy. Based upon that perception, you then put on those shades. You then see tints. You see the world tinted without even realizing that the world that you're looking around is nothing more than tinted, right? And because you end up seeing through the idea that it's hard to get a job, which could also be a belief, you then end up experiencing it based upon that particular perception that it's not easy to get a job, because that's the way that you look at it. And the way that you look at it is the way it looks back at you. Expectation. Do you really expect yourself to get somebody to get back to you and say, hey, we'd love to have you. Do you expect that? Because oftentimes we expect the complete opposite of what it is that we want to materialize without even realizing it, bear in mind. And if you're like, no, Nira, I definitely don't do that. Okay, then let me ask you, what is it that you find normal? Do you find it normal to be rejected? Do you find it normal that they don't get back to you? Because if so, then that is your underlying degree of expectation. Because our normalization is directly interconnected to our expectation. Your emotionally charged thoughts. What are you thinking with emotion throughout the day? Are you thinking, fuck, I need a job. Fuck, I need a job. With stress, with pressure. Because the combination of that mental and emotional energy creates this powerful charge. Remember, emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. So any thought that has emotion back behind it sticks to your subconscious mind. Your reaction, when a job gets back to you and they say, hey, sorry, we're just not looking for you right now. We're just not looking for, whatever rejection they throw at you. Are you like, fuck? Because if so, then of course that's the reaction. That reaction indicates a particular state of consciousness. That reaction indicates a particular frequency, a self-concept. The way that you react is based upon the state of consciousness you're in. So are you reacting or are you responding? And to respond is to go from the version of you who already has what you want and then look at it that way, right? Conviction. Do you actually have conviction? Do you know that you're going to get it? Because if you don't, then the likelihood isn't, because belief is never enough. Most of the manifestation space teaches people about belief. And I have a video on how to build conviction. I think it's called self-confidence. I go through how conviction is the end product. Prior to conviction, it's self-confidence. Prior to self-confidence, it's self-discipline. Prior to self-discipline, it's self-trust. If you don't trust yourself to listen to yourself, then how could you trust the universe to listen to you? And that's a bar, write that down. Conviction is important. If you don't know you're going to get it, then the likelihood you're isn't. And what is your focus on? Is your focus on the fact that people are getting fired and there's no jobs and there's no opportunities and yada, 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 yada? Because the thing about focus is that focus is a centralization of energy. Think about it like a magnifying glass. If you had a magnifying glass and put sunlight through it, it's powerful enough to start a fire. Concentration is a very, very powerful thing. So much so that the individual that wrote the Kabbalion wrote another book called The Power of Concentration under a pen name. Search The Power of Concentration by, I think, Thurnon Dumont or something like that. It's William Walker Atkinson, who's one of the 3 initiates that wrote the Kabbalion. But anyways, that is job. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense.
Makes sense.
Promotion. Now, same thing, right? You could be doing your visualizations, you could be doing everything you think you need to be doing, but the underlying stuff of what's going on is, do you have the belief that they would never give someone like you the opportunity? They don't like you. They don't appreciate you. Because bear in mind, that's in direct contradiction to the idea of a promotion. Do you know you're going to get the promotion? No. Why? Because you have a bunch of history to which you've gone for the promotion and they've rejected you. And that history you think has gone into the past, but it hasn't gone into the past. Based upon the emotion produced by that rejection, it's entered the subconscious mind. And you're actually haunted by your previous rejection on an emotional level to the point that the frequency that it's being emitted from you is nothing but continuous rejection. So you're attempting to take action to get promoted, but on a subconscious level, you know you're not going to get it because what we know is what we've emotionally experienced. That's a bar, write that down.
So we're not haunted by the past, we're haunted by our subconscious mind. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. And I was talking to a client earlier. I was talking to Malik about this football player at Newcastle, who's also player of the month, and he's also on the national German team. It's looking like he's going to be playing for the World Cup. But that's besides the point. We had our session today, and I was talking about PTSD. And I was like, how would you define PTSD? And he was like, some war shit. And I was like, that's how most people define it too. But PTSD, of course, is based upon trauma. So what's your definition of trauma? And he said, I haven't really had anything traumatic too much, because when we think of trauma, typically, especially if you're, of an ethnic background to which, we just downplay everything, right? Trauma has to be something so extreme. But that's not what it is. In the realm of metaphysics, I define trauma as an emotionally intense negative experience. And when you look at it like that, then you're like, why would you define it like that? What's trauma? A traumatic event is something that has the capability of changing your entire mind, how you look at things, how you feel about things. One particular instance can reshape your whole world. And trauma is nothing more than a large degree of emotional intensity with negativity. Why? Because emotion produces a charge. A strong emotional charge enters the subconscious mind. And to go back to what you were saying, when we go through things in the past, whether it's to, we've continuously applied for jobs and we didn't get it, we've applied for promotions, didn't get it, we've been heartbroken or someone done us dirty, our business has failed or collapsed, we've been struggling with money and whatnot. A lot of niggas have PTSD with money and they don't even realize it. What ends up happening is that we experience a large degree of emotional intensity. That emotional intensity charges our subconscious mind, to which then you think some shit that happened 5 years ago is just gone into the past. What the fuck is the past? The subconscious mind has no logical rationale. It actually can't distinguish between the past and the future. It doesn't exist. All your subconscious mind registers is emotional charge. So something in the past, on a third dimensional realm level of looking at time linearly instead of cyclically, something that happened in the past that was emotionally intense isn't in the past. It's in your subconscious mind. And because it's in your subconscious mind is releasing a beacon. Imagine a beacon like this, with that same frequency in resonance, to repeat it again and again and again and again without you even realizing. That makes sense now?
Yeah.
Perception. What is your perception towards yourself? What is your perception towards the individuals that are meant to give you the promotion? If your promotion is based upon somebody that you view as a fucking asshole, then the likelihood is that based upon that particular degree of perception, your frequency speaks before you've even spoken, he's in turn going to look at you back like an asshole, so why would he ever promote you? Expectation. Do you expect yourself to get that promotion? Probably not, due to what I just said. Emotionally charged thoughts. The emotionally charged thoughts that you're thinking on a daily basis, are they in contradiction to the version of you that already has the promotion? Would the version of you be frustrated thinking, they don't fucking appreciate me, I'm giving everything, they don't appreciate me? Would they be thinking that if they were in that reality? No. So that fundamental line of thinking is in direct contradiction to it. When you get rejected from the promotion, that particular degree of reaction indicates a state of consciousness. What are you focused on? Are you focused on the fact that there's not a lot of people like you that are in that position? Not a lot of people that look like you that are in that position? Understand? Relationships. Relationships is an interesting one because a lot of niggas end up getting traumatized by the internet, other people's relationships. Sometimes I'll see some shit and be like, oof, oof. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
That's why the gal is saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's a whole Vogue article on it. But that's people traumatizing each other online. But that's besides the point. It's actually a very interesting article to read. But on the topic of relationships, let's say you want to materialize a healthy relationship. Because remember, we're looking for a distortion here. How the fuck are you going to materialize a healthy relationship if you have the preconceived notion, the belief that all men are dogs? Nah, women aren't like what they used to be. Nah, these new girls, men aren't men anymore. Women aren't women anymore. But nah, you want to be the person that's going to then go and materialize a healthy relationship. When your preconceived belief is a border, that's a bar. Your beliefs are the border of your reality. If in a particular belief you have the idea that all men are dogs, then guess where? You won't be able to go outside the border of just being surrounded by dogs. And if you think women aren't what they used to be, you won't be able to go outside the border of being surrounded by the idea of women not being what they used to be. It's the same thing. Your beliefs are your borders. So your desire, is it in contradiction to your belief? What are you focused on? Are you focused on all the shit that you see online of this story of this person cheating and this person cheating and, this person getting done dirty and this girl let this nigga drive her car and this guy, this girl got taken by this rapper at this concert and yada, 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 yada. Where's your focus? Because your focus is centralization of energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. But what they don't tell you is that energy grows. And that's a bar, write that down. Conviction. Do you know that you can be in a healthy relationship? Remember, what you know is based upon what you've emotionally experienced. If you've emotionally experienced toxicity, distrust, and heartbreak, then it's likely that you won't have conviction in that desire anyways. Your conviction needs to match your desire. That's something I didn't say. A lot of us end up desiring things that we don't even have the conviction for in the first place. That doesn't make any sense. Your perception. Do you see men as good people? I can hear my female friends in my head right now that hate me. Do you see women as good people? Remember, your perception is directly interconnected to your projection. So what you perceive is end up what you see, right? And the thing about the mind is that there's a portion of your brain called the reticular activating system that which, when you're looking at one thing and you're hyperfixated on one thing, it isolates every other instance, to which can be contradictory to that evidence, which is why, that's besides the point. I was going to talk about religion. But anyways, expectation. Do you expect to meet a good man? Do you expect to meet a good woman? And I don't mean good in a sense of like what people typically mean when they say a good man, which is a man that will just get done dirty and have anything. And the same thing with a good woman, a woman that will literally be a dust man. That's not what I mean. I mean, whatever your definition of good is. Emotionally charged thoughts. What are your emotionally charged thoughts based upon? The thoughts that you think with emotion, are they in contradiction to the version of you? Because remember, you have to already have it. So if you already had it, would you be focusing on this? If you already had it, would you be believing this? Would you have conviction in this? Would you be perceiving it like this? Would you be expecting this? Would you be thinking these emotionally charged thoughts? Would you be reacting like this? If the answer is no, then that means that there's a distortion, and that distortion is leading to a corrupted frequency, a corrupted signal. Business. Business is a very interesting one. Business is a very, very interesting one. I was talking to one of my clients who recently had an 8-figure exit, and we were talking about his new business that he wants to set up. And in his new business, he said to me he wants to work with people like him. And I said, perfect. Okay then, because he was saying he doesn't like his current customers. And I was like, okay. So you want to work with people like you. You want people like you to be your customers. He said, yeah, people that are competent, people that are low maintenance, people that can just get on with it. I then said to him, are there a lot of people like you in the world? He said, nah, I'm rare. I said, so you then want to go and materialize an abundance of clients when you have the preconceived belief that there's not a lot of people that exist like you. Direct contradiction. I said that to him. He said, whoa. Distortion. Conviction. Do you have conviction? What are you emotionally experiencing? Bear in mind, what you emotionally experience is something that you can manufacture within yourself, right? Which we'll get to. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on all the evidence that leads contradictory to what it is you want to materialize? What is your perception towards the business? Do you perceive a product of yours as costing expensive? Because that indirect label of expensive means that other people are then going to materialize it and experience it as expensive. If you have a particular product and you see it as expensive, then naturally, based upon that perception, you're only going to see people in that world that then see it expensive, so then they then either don't buy it or they tell you it's expensive. It's crazy. Your expectation, what's normal to you? What emotionally charged thoughts are you thinking? Are you thinking the thoughts that you would think? Are you thinking the thoughts that you would think upon being in that reality now? Your reaction. How are you reacting when something doesn't go your way, when the deal doesn't close, when a customer doesn't want to buy something? Are you reacting from the version of you and how they would react? Because probably not. And that's a distortion. There has to be congruency. All of these have to be aligned. And finally, money. Money is a very, very interesting one. Very, very interesting one. Because even in money, we can, say that we're, manifesting more money, but then indirectly we'll have some type of contradiction across one of these. We can even have the preconceived notion that it's hard to make money. Or you need to work hard to make money, which then means that anytime you're not working hard based on that preconceived belief, you are not adhering to a law that you set for yourself, and then you don't have a lot of money. Your focus on the abundance or the scarcity of reality, the abundance or the scarcity of what you have. There's an amazing book written by one of my favorite authors called The Trick to Money is Having Some, which makes no sense. The trick to money is having some. The trick to money is having some. I highly recommend it. Your conviction. Do you know that you have a lot of money? Remember, emotional experience. Are you perceiving money as something that's easy to get? Are you expecting money to come in, or are you expecting money problems? Expectation is a form of creation. You get what you expect. Emotionally charged thoughts. Are you thinking thoughts that you would think upon having a lot of money with emotion? Are you reacting to the problems through the lens of the version of you? Because in doing so, you then stop reacting, you start responding. That could have been a whole video in of itself. Right. But on to the next one.
You two are funny, and I did hear you read out a comment by someone saying they sing along to all the songs with you. I do now too. I think that's because I'm relaxed now, enjoying your videos, whereas before I felt tense and not the way I feel now.
I can always tell when there's someone new who's commenting on the channel, because they'll be like, I just want the information. Relax.
They'll be like, oh.
It's not that serious. And the fact that you made it that serious is exactly why you're complaining and tense in the first place. It's actually you being tense and being so serious that brings your conscious mind present and your subconscious mind away, which is ironically the thing that you have been trying to program, but you put it to sleep and you're so conscious that just relax, man. Take it easy. Zip up your pants, wipe your mouth. Yeah, you'll be all right.
These are my confessions.
Just wanna know she gonna start, say she got one. These are my confessions.
And I'm rolling, and I don't know what to do.
What to do? If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it. Bro said he damn near cried when he got that phone call. Nah, that one was that we say long day. That's a long day. Cool. Cleared. So, the other thing that you have to unlearn is your addiction to study. Or not even necessarily an addiction to study, but studying many different people, which I know sounds completely contradictory. I'll never forget, I did this one call with this guy, and he said, when I first got into manifestation, I came across your video, and that was like, I came across one video and I was able to manifest so much shit. Then I started seeing what other people were saying, and I, wanted to learn from other people too. Then it became more difficult. Now, this isn't necessarily to say that you should only focus on me, but one thing that I often do, I only go to a few people, like few authors when I read their books, right? Because the truth of the matter is, an addiction to study ends up you going to different places. When you go to different places, what you often find is that different people say different things. And that different things then ends up being something that creates a cognitive dissonance in your head, because you say, Nero say that I don't have to repeat, things again and again. I can just produce one powerful and emotional charge in the same degree that trauma is a negative, intense emotional charge, which has the capability of shaping your whole reality. So the energetic polarity of trauma, a strong positive emotion, can do the same thing. Somebody else might say, you need to repeat again and again. Somebody else might say, hey, do affirmations. Somebody say, my script. Somebody might say, you don't have to do any of them. You can just, decide. And of course, these things all seem contradictory, and it's that degree of contradiction that ends up confusing you. So what I would prescribe to you is just to focus on one person and literally max out on anything that person says. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that may be me. I may not be in resonance with you. That's fine. But just focus on one person, because what often happens is, studying is this really paradoxical thing where the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and the more you diminish the conviction in what you do know. And ironically, conviction is the only thing that's necessary. You can watch one video, read one book, and have conviction that this is going to be the absolute thing that works, and then it ends up working because the mind has a placebo. Remember, one of the Hermetic axioms is as above, so below. And as above, so below means that you are a microcosm of the universe, and the universe is a macrocosm of you. So if you have a placebo below, the universe has a placebo in of itself, and conviction is the trigger in order for that. But if you diminish your conviction based upon everything that you're studying, and then you end up thinking that you know nothing, you then actually end up reducing what you do know, and you don't have the capability of activating it. The knowledge that you have is activated by conviction. So make things easier for yourself, yeah? My house in Budapest, my hidden treasure chest, golden grand piano, my beauty focused on you. Ooh, you, finally Vito.
Oh, I didn't see this. Here we go.
I can hear him laughing. That's how I know it's over.
The rain thing ain't no joke. Y'all come over to Nigeria. I've manifested more than 20,000 for someone who averaged 2,000 monthly. I've been waiting to drop my accumulated testimony.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
As the winnings ain't stopping. I'm only making this comment to let you know it's true. The rain can be seized in Nigeria. And
They say seized in the same way police seize drugs.
Serious, innit?
You hear 2 million street value has been seized.
And it's a service for big and prestigious events that can't afford someone ruin them. I'm guessing the rain to ruin it. Man are seized in the rain.
AJ still doesn't believe.
I told you, I love Nigerians, bro. The stuff they say. Seize the rain. Oh my God.
Nigerians speak like Shakespeare.
Oh
I'm Zimbabwean. If you ever want to know you're talking to a Nigerian, they speak Shakespearean English. I swear. I swear.
Seize the rain, romance the ball.
I love it. Cool. So to go back to what I was saying. Initially, one of the other mistakes that a lot of people make is the idea that repetition is the best way to program the subconscious mind. And in my opinion, this is long-winded. It's almost like brute force algorithm, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an algorithm to crack encryption or a password, and it quite literally tries every single combination possible. It works, but it's long-winded. And I don't know how much time you have, but I can assure you don't want to be somebody who's been trying to program their mind for decades, right? When it can be done in an instant, because it has been done to you in an instant. And that's the beauty of it all. I need you to realize you have either had or you programmed your mind in an instant, whether you realize it or not. Whether you realize it or not, it has been done to you. Now, it's long-winded. And this has to be one of the things that you unlearn, because you'll just make things unnecessarily long for yourself. And you don't have to do that. And I don't want that for you, right? But it's about coming to the recognition of the true language of the subconscious mind, which is emotion. The true language of the subconscious mind is emotion, because emotion creates a charge. And that charge is ultimately what enters the subconscious mind, based upon the example of trauma that I was saying earlier. Remember, trauma is nothing more in the realm of metaphysics, nothing more than emotionally intense. A situation or event that's emotionally intense but with negativity. And energetic polarities exist in this third dimensional realm because they're subject to the hermetic law of polarity. Masculine, feminine, good, bad, hot, cold, so on and so forth. Everything has a polarity. So if trauma exists within our reality, then it has an energetic polarity, which is the production of a strong positive emotion, which is exactly what you can do to alter your reality. And in doing so, it's simple, right? It's about understanding that if you can produce a strong, intense emotional charge, bear in mind, this is going to differ between different people. Different people are going to react to things differently, right? I have some clients that say their whole body comes alive and they can't stop smiling. For me, I'm a chill guy. So for me, it's extreme relaxation, right? And this all comes down to the understanding of, remember, techniques have one purpose, not to create reality, but to shift you internally so you become in correspondence or in resonance with the reality that you seek to materialize by already convincing your mind that you have it. Because anything that has emotion behind it will enter the subconscious mind. So whether you want to visualize or do an affirmation, I always recognize simple visualization, and I speak about this in Outsmarting Reality, Amazon bestseller for 23 weeks straight in all three categories. I have a technique in there, but just to summarize the technique about how to go about it, it's simple. You lay down or sit down, get into a relaxed meditative state when you just feel like your body's relaxed. Don't deep it too much. I know some people like to target the state akin to sleep and they really hyperfixate on it, or they really think, let me get into theta and alpha, which is you're just making things unnecessarily complicated, because relaxation is actually the prerequisite to your brain producing theta, which brings your subconscious mind forward. In doing so, when you're in a relaxed meditative state, just visualize somebody that you love acknowledging the materialization of your desire. So when somebody that you love, because the love of that emotion would be powerful, congratulates you or acknowledges the materialization of that desire, then it will make an emotional charge behind a visualized scene or an affirmed scene or whatever it is. And that combination of mental and emotional energy will stick together into the subconscious mind. And if you can do that vividly, clearly, and emotionally enough, subconscious mind will be done. And it's literally that simple. It is that simple.
Someone said, ever since I started watching this channel, I manifested my first ever job. Woohoo!
Congratulations! See, we don't even use effects, we do it manual.
I received an offer to be a recruiter for an accommodation company since I'm a student. This happened because everything I've learned from this channel and I focused on embodying the frequency of what I desire to be.
It's not what you learned from this channel, it's what you implemented. Don't project it onto me, because we will exploit you over here. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, guys, anything that you end up materializing, yes, the information, maybe you got it from you or the knowledge, but don't project it onto me, because this, like I said, this isn't a cult. If I was to be like, you're welcome, my child.
It's not?
What are you saying, bro?
It has been a game changer. I'm not swayed by the 3D reality anymore. At that time, my circumstances were tough. I had just been scammed and could have
getting scammed is dark, man.
Dark,
you ever been scammed so bad that you carry it to your grave, you don't even tell anyone? The way that you've just been scammed, it's too embarrassing for you to even say. You just firm it, silence.
I'd just been scammed and could have easily felt frustrated by that experience. However, I kept my cool, and weeks later I landed a job with a higher income. My question about this video concerns letting go of control and the idea that I can control my manifestation timeline. This concept is so appealing to me, but I've struggled with control in the past. If you could please clarify for me.
What was the question there?
My question about this video concerns letting go of control and the idea that I can control my manifestation timeline. It's the video where you said time traveling is the fastest way to manifest.
One more time? I'm trying to hear the question specifically.
My question about this video concerns letting go of control and the idea that I can control my manifestation timeline.
It's not necessarily about controlling your manifestation timeline. Don't be like one of those people that think I'm going to quantum jump and all of this other stuff. All of that particular rhetoric, it still does nothing more than external focus on the alteration of your reality, to which when you don't see a result, you then end up thinking that you're doing something wrong. And then based upon the subconscious acceptance that something has gone wrong, you've then created wrong. It's not necessarily about controlling how quick you move into a reality or anything to do that. The only thing it's about controlling is the state that you're able to produce and sustain within yourself. That's the only thing you need to control. So even when we're talking about, shifting to timelines or parallel universes, which are all just mere concepts of explaining the same thing on a different level, right? From a quantum mechanical down to a spiritual level and so on and so forth. What you just have to understand is that the only thing that you have to control is yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. And don't get caught up in everything else, because when things start going right, we then end up getting encapsulated in third dimensional realm. We end up getting finessed out of our position without realizing that reality is an illusion. So it means fuck all to us. You understand what I'm saying? Now, there's a scripture in the Bible. It says a man cannot receive unless it's given to him from heaven. Then that's in the chapter of John. And then there's also Matthew 6:33, which is the idea that seek ye first the kingdom and righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Heaven is essentially a state of relaxation, whether you want to conceptualize it as peace and bliss and whatnot. But what you have to understand is that this is a prerequisite to manifestation. And oftentimes you struggle to materialize your reality because you're so stressed, and you're so stressed because you make time to do nothing. And because you make time to do nothing, you never get to relax. And you are so overstimulated that you can't tell the difference, that you think doing nothing is boring. And because you think doing nothing is boring, doing nothing is actually a form of peace. And then in doing so, you end up actually moving yourself away from the capability of altering your reality, because relaxation is a prerequisite to manifestation. That's a bar that down. You have to make sure you're relaxed, because oftentimes we think to ourselves, when I attain this, then I will be relaxed. But then simultaneously, if you attaining that would make you relaxed, then you being relaxed would indicate to the universe that you've attained that thing. So it's about understanding frequency first, frequency first, frequency first. You first need to focus on your internal state and make sure you're in a state of relaxation, because in doing so, you then put your brain into producing alpha and theta waves on a daily basis. So a lot of people think that the only time they can sit down to alter their reality, the only time they can alter their reality is when they're laid down or sat down. But if you just stay in a relaxed, calm, composed state, then your brain is always going to be cycling through these cycles. And the chances of you cycling through theta and alpha will be greater, which means everything that you're doing, all the internal work, it will actually go somewhere. Really like, oh God.
Yo, these comments, bro. What?
Here we go.
I just read the first line. Shouldn't even laugh. The same girl I manifested from work just broke up with me.
And you think that's funny? I'm telling you guys, AJ is not a good guy. I'm telling you. Just because he plays the piano, I don't think he's a good guy.
Crazy thing is, we were never supposed to be together.
Oh.
She has a baby daddy that is locked up, and I have a baby mama I don't get along with. Crazy thing is, I'm not even upset about it. Oh, bro, why did you manifest her in the first place?
The other mistake that people need to unlearn in the realm of manifestation is that doubt is an indication of something wrong. Oftentimes, I'll see people say, oh, I'm having doubts. And they're like, you're not visualizing enough. You're not doing affirmations enough. You're not scripting enough. You're not doing this. But I would like to introduce something new. Doubt isn't the issue. The issue is your way that you perceive doubt. That's I'll borrow that down. Every human being is going to experience doubt. Naturally, Sir Isaac Newton said for every force there's an equal and opposite force. When you take a step forward, you generate the potentiality to go a step back. So the idea that you're experiencing this particular degree of resistance is very fucking fine until you make it not fine. And then when you make it not fine, you make it a problem. When you make it a problem, it becomes a problem. The issue isn't doubt. The issue is your perception towards doubt. Because you think doubt represents something wrong. Well, I'm saying to you, doubt represents something right. You only begin to experience doubt upon the idea of your old frequency feeling threatened. Your old frequency is the version of you that exists on the spiritual plane that was created from the thought forms of how you used to think, your old beliefs, your old perceptions, your old reactions. Remember, the old frequency, old state of consciousness, old self-concept. That is an entity, a living thing that wants to continue existing. So in order to continue existing, it's going to play games and try to hit you with the maddest of psychology. And because it's going to try to hit you with the maddest of psychology, it's playing mind games, straight mind games. So it wants you to think that this doubt is yours. So then as you're progressing and moving forward, it's going to get you to doubt yourself. And then you think that it's yours. So then you internalize that doubt. And because you see it wrong, you internalize wrong into the subconscious mind. And then you end up perpetuating wrong in your reality without realizing that the only reason that doubt is coming to you now is because your old frequency feels threatened. And it wouldn't feel threatened if transformation wasn't around the corner. So the very fact that you're experiencing doubt is a good thing. What if every time you ever doubted yourself in your life and you ended up not moving, you actually stopped yourself from transforming? What if every time that you doubted yourself, as you were getting to date that person, things were going good, as you was applying for that job, as you were applying for that promotion, as you was about to that client, close that deal, you began to doubt yourself? What if just then you were around the corner from transformation, but you didn't realize it, internalized it as your own, and then internalized it as your own, you made it wrong, and then it ended up being wrong, whereas that is something good? What if you looked forward to the self-doubt? Then that would change the way that you experience it. People in manifestation always try to put the blame on you and say that you're not doing enough, but it's likely that you are doing enough. But it's just the perception towards things now.
I went through the dark night of the soul right before I found this page.
You're even reading it sad.
It just seems very...
It's just the energy behind
that tone.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I can say that I found this channel when I needed it the most. I'm unrecognizable from who I was a year ago. And I know you say that you don't want credit for changing people's lives. However,
I don't want credit. No, okay.
However, you have.
Okay.
However, you have.
Okay.
I bought the book on Amazon. I read it in your accent, lol, and I sing along with you guys because I know all the songs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur who feels as if they have a mental block that they can't figure out and it's capping your revenue in your business and you'd like to unlock your potential in 7 weeks, link in the description. See differently. Feel differently. React differently. Think differently. Cool. So, how do you know a manifestation is working? In the realm of manifestation, they define a manifestation working by your ability to see it. Hence why anytime that you don't see your manifestation coming into play, you think that it's not working. And then based upon that subconscious acceptance, you end up making it not work. But everything that we do here is to create an internal shift. So what are the signs of an internal shift? The signs of an internal shift, and I have a video on this called like the signs your frequency is changing or some shit. But if you want to know if what you're doing is actually working, then you'll know if you see differently, feel differently, react to things differently, and you think things differently. But see, most people's definition on if manifestation is working is if they see things outside of them change. When I say see differently, I mean perceive differently. That says perceive, I promise you. But anyways, most people define manifestation working by their ability of their reality changing around them. And in doing so, you set yourself up for a trap, which is why it's something you need to unlearn, because you're looking for signs outside of you, but without realizing that reality is a delayed form of consciousness. So when you go and look outside of you and you see nothing's changed, you then internalize it being reflective of something wrong, and you end up distorting the frequency that you're projecting to the universe. So it's not necessarily about looking to reality for signs, but looking for within yourself for the signs. And that's what bar that down, because within yourself is ultimately not an illusion, such as reality. And you'll know that what you're doing is working if you feel differently, react to things differently, think things differently, and see things differently. And ladies and gentlemen, that is everything we need to unlearn from the realm of manifestation. I forgot what I was gonna say. Fuck. Ow.
That was a bit aggressive, isn't it?
Fuck.
Look, I be riding in my old hood, but I'm in my new whip. Same old attitude, but I'm on that new shit.
They say they gonna rob me, see me never do shit, cause they know that's the reason they gonna end up on the news clip. Audemars on my wrist, there's nothing on my wrist, but we still bust down.